Welcome to 60 Skills. The following course is training the electric and magnetic lines of force with movement. Training the lines of force with movement is beneficial for any form of practice, be that yoga, tai chi, or simple athletics. By learning how to use the lines of force in twist, you strengthen and integrate the fascia, ligaments, and tendons in the body. The throwing movements help with generation of power and also remove tension from the body. Finally, the walking movements are one of the most effective and strongest ways to increase the sensation of energy and the movement of subtle energy within the body that 60 Skills has ever found. These can be applied to any number of esoteric and meditative pursuits, and anecdotally are highly effective at both treating and preventing back pain. So, join me on this adventure as we explore the training of the electric and magnetic lines with movement. Welcome to 60 Skills. We will now discuss the requirements for training the electric and magnetic lines with movement. If you have covered training the electric and magnetic lines of force using static body postures, this will greatly accelerate and help your development in this course. It is, however, not necessary. The movement features by themselves carry enough details. Where the static training particularly comes into play is helping with static posture holding, such as in a lot of conventional forms of yoga. That said, if you suffer from a great deal of back pain, have a congenital back problem such as scoliosis, you should probably get clearance from your doctor first and proceed with a great deal of caution. Over time, these techniques will allow you to reach deeper and deeper into your soft tissue and gain more and more control over that. If you have a serious injury or you've had back surgery of any kind, you need to proceed with caution. Otherwise, I look forward to your joining me on this adventure. Let us begin. Why train the electric and magnetic lines of force? The electric and magnetic lines of force are a method of training the soft tissue within the body. In its crudest form, you will be dealing with the ligaments, tendons, and fascia tissue, or in other words, that tissue that gives your muscles and organs their shape. Essentially, these soft tissues are the conduit by which subtle energy moves through the body. In their more refined forms, they become the astral physical and the mental astral matrices that connect the physical, astral, and mental bodies. They become progressively fine as you work your way up that chain of enlightenment into the more subtle realms of existence. So any strengthening of these lines of force will greatly enhance energy work or the movement of subtle energy both upwards and downwards through the body and through the mind. That's the primary reason why you want to do this. On a purely physical level, training the electric through pushing out and turning outwards in the soft tissue, or the magnetic by pulling the joints open and turning inwards, both integrates and strengthens the ligaments, tendons, and fascia tissue in the body. If you've ever met somebody who's done a lot of this work, what you're going to find is that if you grab a hold of their arm, no matter how tightly you dig down into the tissue, when they move it, not only can you feel every single ligament and tendon moving completely freely, but it's also as if there is a layer of plastic in there. The fact of the matter is, these tissues, the fascia in particular, are poorly oxygenated, which is a fancy way of stating that there aren't a whole lot of blood vessels moving through that tissue. It's one of the reasons why if you've ever injured a ligament or tendon, it takes so long to heal. However, the use of these exercises greatly strengthens that tissue. So there are a variety of reasons to do this, both purely physical through enhanced resilience and purely metaphysical, the ability to move larger amounts of energy through the body. As a practical matter, This becomes very important when you're attempting to move large amounts of subtle energy into the physical. For those of you interested in esoteric healing or the internal martial arts, or simply having more robust health all the way around, these practices are extremely valuable. Additionally, having spoken to students and through personal experience, performance of these exercises on a regular basis goes a long way towards preventing back pain of any kind. It also seems to be fairly helpful for treating it. So, to sum up, there are three main reasons to practice these exercises. One, they enhance your meditative, yogic, and esoteric pursuits. Two, they further strengthen and integrate the soft tissue in the body. And three, they are an excellent prophylaxis for back pain of any kind. Let us begin. Welcome to 60 Skills. We will now discuss what energies can be trained with the electric and magnetic lines of force using movement. As a simple matter, virtually any energy, with the exception of its mental aspect, is easily trained utilizing movement. The basic energies of the body, such as vital force, astral energy, later on akasha, non-dual light, and of course the magnetic and electric lines of force, are very easily trained this way and made much stronger. Additionally, the elemental energies of fire, air, water, and earth can be trained this way. Later on, with much practice, the subtle energies of the planets, the constellations, and the letters of Barden's Kabbalah can also be trained. So the bottom line is, virtually any energy can be trained this way and is made much stronger by doing so. Additionally, out of the different ways you can train, lying down, largely an out-of-body projection, seated, which is mostly qualitative and a little bit of quantitative, standing or posture-driven work, which is largely quantitative and a little bit of qualitative. The walking techniques and the moving techniques are almost entirely quantitative. They are the most practical way to move energy out of the subtle and into the physical. As such, this is the primary tool that we have for moving things from the energetic realm into the material realm. That in turn makes these things useful. So the bottom line is you can basically train any energy you want utilizing the moving techniques, and you will be doing it in a way where it is most strong. On a practical basis, if you are attempting to counterbalance or ground energy out, the moving techniques are really the best way to go about doing this. They also tend to be quite enjoyable and fun over a period of time. Keep in mind, as is always the case in this coursework, we are looking at principles. So you can take these moving techniques and apply them to things like the long form in a martial art or Tai Chi. You can apply them to your collection of moving forms in, say, Ashtanga Yoga. They can be applied any number of ways. But the bottom line is, it's up to you to figure out how to apply them, because that's where the principle becomes valuable. So I look forward to your joining me on this adventure. Let us begin. Welcome to 60 Skills. What are the twisting exercises? The twisting exercises are a series of techniques in which a practitioner, while pushing out through their fingertips and torquing their feet outwards with the hip turned under just a hair, moves the tissue through its full range of motion. You will then turn it back in and turn it back out. The purpose of doing this is it removes adhesions and obstructions, both subtle and gross, from the soft tissue within the body. This allows not only for that tissue to strengthen, but also improves the movement of subtle energy through the body and helps integrate whole body movement. People who perform these exercises quite a great deal have a surprising amount of strength regardless of size. It also appears to enhance neuromuscular recruitment in a manner that is quite curious. Regardless of age, practitioners who do these practices with great frequency have a surprising degree of speed of movement over very short distances. particularly in the range of about 7 meters or 20 feet. One of my teachers I was in the room with once dropped a sheet of paper, and I watched this individual reach out and grab all of the sheets of paper before they hit the ground. They credited these exercises with the ability to do that. Some martial arts, such as natural boxing or zhuranmen from China, or baguazhang, specialize in these kinds of movements. If you've ever dealt with one of these practitioners, what you'll notice is they have an uncanny ability to form a line of force from their fingertip all the way down to their feet. This allows them to put a tremendous amount of energy onto a single point, such as a finger. For martial arts, this has obvious applications. For those of you interested in esoteric healing, this also has a variety of applications in that it greatly strengthens the movement of vital force, astral energy, and mental energy, what some people call the qi, through the hands. So if you're engaging in any kinds of physical manipulations such as massage therapy or Tui Na or acupuncture, this allows you to project energy into the patient much stronger. On a very basic human level, it simply makes that soft tissue much stronger and much more resilient. This is particularly advantageous as practitioners get older. I once had a teacher who had a C-section. What was interesting is when you palpated this lady's abdomen, you couldn't feel the scar tissue from the incision. Performance of these exercises over time had gradually removed all the adhesions. So it is also an excellent surgical recovery tool. Simply put, there are a variety of reasons for performing these exercises, ranging from health to the highly esoteric. So they are well worth your doing. Let us begin. Welcome to 60 Skills. What are the throwing exercises? The throwing exercises are a form of soft tissue training. What you're doing is you're entering either an electric state by pushing out through the fingertips and connecting that line down to the opposite foot, or pulling the joint open and doing the same thing. Then you use an explosive release, reverse the direction, and pull it back in the other way. The reason for doing this is very simple. Not only does it strengthen the ligaments, tendon, and fascia tissue in the body, which is always valuable, and increase your ability to generate dynamic power with the body, which again is always valuable, but it does a very good job of removing tension from the body. Where this becomes valuable is in many systems of yogic and meditative practice, posture is utilized. Whether this is the standing postures of Chinese internal martial arts or the various postures from Indian yoga. The static performance of these postures over time can create an odd kind of tension in the body. This in turn can cause damage to the joints and otherwise create instability in the structure. The throwing exercises are particularly good at integrating tissue and removing latent tension, the result of which is subtle energy moves through the body much more efficiently. These exercises are fairly common in some forms of traditional martial arts from Southeast Asia, but outside of that, I personally have not seen them much. The additional advantage of practicing them in the context of this program is they are removed from that martial background. That removal from the martial background clears up some of the background egregore, or programmed thought forms surrounding them. So doing this is extremely valuable. It also seems to maintain a kind of suppleness in the soft tissue that most people lose with age. With a great deal of practice, these can be combined in a resistance manner with weights, such as a light kettlebell. But in the beginning, you are going to want to perform these empty hand and do that for quite some time. Also be aware that these explosive movements can injure the joints if you are not careful with it. So regardless of how you choose to perform these exercises, always do so in a manner that protects your joints. If when performing them, something feels uncomfortable or out of sorts, change the plane of action. Maybe a cross hand throw is good for you. Or maybe you want to use a side-to-side throw. It is going to take experimentation to figure this out. What you will notice is that you gain strength at this quite rapidly. So another thing to keep in mind is that, particularly in men, this part of the arm, after performing these exercises, tends to feel the most sore. So this is something that you are going to want to alternate days on. However, you do want to do both the electric and the magnetic version of doing this. Many of the Marshall systems I've seen only perform the electric version of this exercise. And this can tend to result in an odd kind of imbalance in the body. Structurally speaking, doing both creates additional improvements within the soft tissue because it's working the tissue both in expansion and contraction. So again, remember to do both electric and magnetic. Be careful with the plane of action and find a plane of action that works best for you. Finally, remember to take adequate breaks. None of this ligament and tendon training is a more pain, more gain environment. It is a more pain, more injury environment. So you need to be very careful with this, particularly because you are performing this using a great deal of momentum. Always prepare your joints and protect them. Additionally, be careful with how deep you dig initially, because it will be very easy to throw a rib out or perhaps manipulate one of the vertebrae in your back if you are not practiced, or if you are returning to this practice after a long break. As always, pay attention to your body and it will treat you well. Let us begin. Welcome to 60 Skills. We will now discuss the electric and magnetic walking exercises. The walking exercises are one of the fastest and most potent ways to build power in the body. Certain meditative systems, such as Shingon Buddhism, make extensive use of these exercises. It is also the primary training method using an astral walk of the Forest Wat tradition in Southeast Asia in Theravada Buddhism. So these techniques have a very long and illustrious history. They always utilize a distinctive crossbody left hand, right foot, right hand, left foot walk. What this does is it moves the soft tissue in the body completely through every available plane of motion. When combined with various meditative techniques, it greatly strengthens the movement of the appropriate energy through the body. This in turn generates quite a bit of kinetic power. And this is one of the secrets of training subtle energy. Subtle energy that is grounded into vigorous physical activity manifests most physically. This is a concept that seems to be lost on a bunch of people and is one of the reasons why proper body training is so crucial. A lot of people tend to forget that even the Buddha was from a warrior caste family. He received quite a bit of this training as a young man. Anyone familiar with the internal martial arts knows many masters of this who are incredibly strong on an energetic level. I will not get into the nature of delusion that some of them have regarding their combat abilities, but it can be said that the better energetic practitioners out there generally have a background in the internal martial arts. This kind of body training is the reason why. So these physical walking techniques are a very good way in which to ground these subtle energies into the physical. And most importantly, it allows you to do it in a whole body manner that you can also do for an extended period of time. This combination of using the whole body in doing things for a long period of time is extremely potent. On a very basic health preservation level, when properly mastered, this electric and magnetic walk will generate a sensation of the soft tissue wrapping and unwrapping around the spine as you move. This in turn works as an excellent prophylaxis for lower back pain and in general is an excellent exercise. It is also something you can do during your normal waking hours that does not attract attention to you and allows you to practice. When you're dealing with working with specific energies, this is a key tool, and we will get to that in a moment. But the bottom line is, the walking techniques allow you to train any esoteric energy you wish using a whole body movement over an extended period of time. And this in turn will greatly enhance your ability to work with those energies, which is valuable for anyone. Let us begin. Welcome to 60 Skills. We will now discuss how to fit the moving techniques into a practice routine. As a general rule, a comprehensive system of practice should consist of 1/3 meditative training, 1/3 energetic training, and 1/3 physical training. Okay, that's nice in theory. Let's talk about some specifics. Say you are working on trying to master a given energy. Maybe it's advanced practice like the letter A from Barton's Kabbalah. An ideal practice with that specific energy would be 15 minutes of lying practice, so you can work on your out-of-body projection techniques. And that's going to be largely a qualitative experience where you're gaining information. Then you could practice for 15 minutes seated. This applies a little bit of pressure on the body, generally results in more awareness, and also generates mostly qualitative or information-based experience. Then you could do 15 minutes of standing posture work. This generates mostly quantitative or power-based building with a little bit of information. Then you could finally finish with 15 minutes of moving techniques, such as the throwing exercises, the walking techniques, really whatever you decide to do. This results in your moving that energy completely through the body from its most subtle state down to its most physical state, grounding it in the here and now. This in turn makes you a better practitioner. A big problem that a lot of systems have is they have that mental level understanding training down pat, whether through out-of-body projection and lying practices or simple seated practice. Other systems specialize in the energetic aspect of it. You've seen the folks building the ball and manipulating all these energies with their hands or using various gestures. This is pretty common. But to make these things useful, say in a medical or martial context, or simply physical simple human performance, it needs to be grounded into the physical. That's where these moving techniques become most powerful. So again, it depends on what you're attempting to do, but as a general rule, 1/3 to 1/4 of your practice, depending on what other modalities you're using, should consist of these moving techniques. On a practical basis, the use of these moving techniques in your routine also breaks up the tendency of energy to stagnate within the body and cause a lot of problems. It allows it to move much cleaner through the body and generally makes the body work much better. Any number of the more energetic systems tend to have problems with energy getting stuck in different parts of the body, creating either pain or burning sensations. The moving techniques help minimize this greatly. So again, it depends on what you're attempting to pursue. If you are really only interested in out-of-body projection, there is no real need to do this kind of physical work. That said, being healthy and having all of the various subtle energies move properly within your body will enhance your out-of-body projection ability. And for that reason, some form of this training should exist in your practice routine. Let us begin. Welcome to 60 Skills. Today we are on location in Harpers Ferry, West Virginia. We will now cover the practical portion of the electric with twist exercise. The electric with twist exercise uses the same body posture cues that were utilized for the electric line of force in the static version of this exercise. So you are still pulling from the top of the head, placing the tongue behind the two front teeth on the soft part of the mouth, pushing from the fingertips, torquing the feet outwards while balanced on the ball of the foot, and tucking the tailbone under just a hair. The one addition in this exercise is you will now be twisting the body out to its maximum point without discomfort and twisting it back in. The rest of the body cues remain exactly the same. However, there is one area that requires particular attention. When you tuck the tailbone under, it is very important to only do this very slightly. The width of a pencil is about the distance you want, so it should be something like this. A harder martial arts style tuck will result in the generation of back pain over time. So pay particular attention to this when practicing. We will be utilizing 5 body postures: an arms forward position, an arms above the head position, arms in a circle position at the height of the breasts, arms to the side at roughly a shoulder height, and an arms down position into the ground. You will initially perform 9 rounds of each exercise, take a break, and ideally perform another 9 rounds using magnetic with twist. If the exercise is performed only in electric or magnetic manner, without its counterbalancing force, over time, problems will develop. Let us begin. First, stand in a shoulder width posture. Push the fingertips out. Pull from the top of the head, tongue behind the two front teeth. Weight on the balls of the feet. Tuck the tailbone under just a hair, or the width of a pencil. Then twist out, 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 out. Hold. Twist in, in. All the other details the same. Now you're torquing the feet inwards without moving them. And that is 1. Out, 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 out. In. 2. Out, 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 out. In. 3. Out, 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 out. In. 4. Out, 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 out. In. 5. Out, 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 out. In. 6. Out, 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 out. In. 7. Out, 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 out. In. 8. Finally, out, 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 out. In. That is 9. Shake yourself out. Now, hands above the head. Out, 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 out. In. 1. Out, 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 out. Pushing from the fingertips, pulling from the top of the head. Tucking the tailbone under, balls of the feet. In. 2. Out, 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 out. 3. In. 3. Out, 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 out. 4. In. 4. Out, 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 out. 5. In. 5. Out, 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 out. 6. In. 6. Out, 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 out. 7. 8. 9. Shake it out. Then create the circle. Some refer to this as holding a ball. Out, 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 out. In. Balls of the feet tucked under. Pull from the top of the head. 2, 3, 3, 4, 4, 5, 5. Still pushing from the fingertips. 6, 6. Still on the balls of the feet. 7, 7, 8, 8, 9, 9. Shake it out. Time, this can be performed with great force. Again, you don't want to be tense. You're doing this in expansion. 1, 1, 2, 2. Always use a little hold at the end. 3, 3, 4, 4, 5, 5, 6, 6, pushing from the fingertips. 7, 7, 8, 8. Around this time, you should really begin to feel the energy rushing from the body. 9, 9. Shake it out. Now into the ground. 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, 4, 5, 5, pulling from the top of the head. 6, tailbone under. 6, balls of the feet. 7, 7, pushing from the fingertips. 8, 8. Finally, 9, 9. Shake it out. Now again, standing perfectly still, using as few or no body cues if possible. Go electric, relax. Go electric, relax. Six, 7, 8, 9. Shake it out. Vital breathe until all sensations have left the body. This concludes the exercise.